I, F30, do not want to live with my boyfriend's, M36, grandmother, F83. I've been living with my boyfriend for 4 months. We have been in a relationship for about 3 years. Living together was good, although there have also been challenges that we have had to face, and we still do. We have had to learn to balance our times, spaces and create new routines. We were learning to be a couple, when a month ago my boyfriend told me that his grandmother, who raised him as his mother, would come to visit him. A visit that was supposed to last a week turned into a month, and until now she continues to live with us. I want her out of the house, but that desire makes me feel bad because I think maybe I shouldn't react that way. Am I acting correctly? Should I feel this way? Am I being selfish? At the beginning she cried so that my boyfriend would let her stay a while longer, but today, my boyfriend told me that he wants his grandmother to stay with us until the end of the pandemic, that she will be safer here. And of course, no one knows when all this will end. The situation has turned into a nightmare for me, and I feel guilty for feeling more and more rejection by my boyfriend's grandmother, but it is inevitable. The reasons are, no space, no intimacy. The apartment is small. At the beginning my boyfriend suggested that each of us have a room that would be our own place. I liked the idea, and it is especially necessary now that due to the pandemic we cannot go out as much as before. Since the arrival of my boyfriend's grandmother, I had to get all my things out of that room, and now I don't have a comfortable place to work, or be alone, practice my hobbies, and my things are all over the place. As we have just started, the apartment is not fully furnished, so I do not have the possibility to go to other rooms. My boyfriend's grandmother needs 24/7 care because she can't walk much. We have to prepare and serve her all her food, make sure she is cleaned when she goes to the bathroom, check that she takes her medications at the right time, wash her clothes, make her bed, clean her room. A lot of these things aren't easy for both of us, especially at a time when we're trying to build something. I love my boyfriend and have tried to help him, but sometimes that is beyond me. I have ended up cleaning toilet papers with feces that my boyfriend's grandmother throws on the floor, smelling her gases while we eat, seeing her vomit her food while we have lunch, or eating with her hands. I feel very guilty about the disgust it produces, but I hate this. Besides, she is very demanding. My boyfriend has to cook 2 different dishes of food, and throughout the day she asks to be served food, hot drinks. Even when I'm working from home she asks me to make juices, sandwiches. Of course, she asks for everything in a bad way. And the worst thing is that when my boyfriend goes to work, he doesn't always work outside the home. I have to take care of all this alone. The house does not have the conditions to provide the comforts to an elderly person. The type of shower we have does not allow her to bathe in them, so my boyfriend has to bathe her as he can, on the bathroom floor. It is somewhat uncomfortable, and that prevents her from wanting to do it often, so she has gone up to 15 days without bathing. Not least, we cannot take care of an old woman. Our lifestyle does not allow it. Our schedules, food, disorder, we were creating routines, are very different from those of an already established home. I feel cornered, I can't take it anymore, and it breaks my heart. I don't know if I'm wrong, but it bothers me that my boyfriend has such a low priority on a project that at least I saw as one of the most important of my life. I must clarify that my boyfriend's grandmother has a house with all the comforts she needs. For many years she has lived with the family of her son, M60. Too long didn't read. I recently moved in with my boyfriend. We are still in the process of getting used to this when his grandmother came to live with us. First it was a week, and now it is possible that she is staying indefinitely. I want her to leave the house. Am I being selfish for feeling this way? Honestly, my concern is not about your feelings. My concern is about the safety and welfare of an elderly woman. From what you described, she needs around-the-clock care. An 83-year-old woman should not be bathed on the bathroom floor. Allowing her to go 15 days without bathing is unacceptable. That is neglect. A family meeting needs to happen. If no one is willing and able to take care of her, arrangements will have to be made for her to go into a nursing facility. If she has a safe place to go, it's silly that she lives in your small apartment where she can't be cared for. What is your boyfriend's thinking here? That is precisely what I do not understand. I have grandparents and none of them would think of leaving their home, where they have all the comforts to live with me, when they understand that we are a couple that is just getting settled. You're not being selfish. You live together, which means this was a decision that should have been made by both of you. This has very severe impacts on you and your well-being, and it's reasonable that you don't want to do it. It's also reasonable that he wants to do it. So, you're at an impasse. You can make it an ultimatum, it might work out fine, or he might go along with it but resent you for it, or he might call your bluff and then you end the relationship. You could also move out, but not break up. If she is in tears about going back to live with the 60-year-old son, I think it is safe to assume there is elder abuse there. Nothing good about her going back. That must be dealt with. If it's her house, she should have some rights. Sell it and get a place big enough and properly outfitted for her needs. Apply for social assistance funds to get her home care, even if it's part-time. There are problems not mentioned by OP that should be investigated. I honestly thought it was manipulation, but on second thought, I think you're right. Beyond my boyfriend's grandmother, I don't know another older person who wants to leave his house. It's very strange. I think this situation is much more complex than I had initially noticed. I realize that it will be better for me if I step aside. I, 18F, want to start dating but my parents always tell me that whoever I date has to meet them first. I, 18F, want to start dating but my parents always tell me that whoever I date has to meet them first. First post but, I want to start dating and haven't gotten any experience really, but the thing is I'm told that if I do date someone my parents have to meet them first. This makes me embarrassed because I thought that's something you do later in a relationship. I've been told that if I go in dates I shouldn't immediately introduce them to my parents unless it is serious, but now I'm not sure what to do and how to tell my parents that I'm dating someone but don't want them to meet the person yet. Too long didn't read. My parents want to meet any person I date but I think it's embarrassing. Just go on dates. That's it. I know becoming an adult can be difficult because our parents still want to treat us like we are 15. But what I've found extremely useful is just doing things without asking for permission. Instead of saying, "Mum, I'm planning on going to XYZ house for a bit, is that cool?" Say, "I'm off to XYZ house. See you later, Mum." It's much more effective and grown up. Take authority over your own life. Not to be downvoted to oblivion, but clarify with your parents if they mean a sit down or if they just want them to come to the door and say hi. Because my parents made me do that, and it wasn't a come inside what are your intentions, it was more I see your face, I know what car you drive. If my kid doesn't come back I'll call the police thing. And I was so embarrassed. But also it can weed out the guys who are strictly looking to abuse your innocence, cause every guy who was bad news that I snuck out to see didn't respect me. And my current partner was like, why won't you show me to your parents now, I think they'll like me, and he's the most respectful human ever. And that you feel confident that you'll make good choices because they are the ones who raised you. Flattery helps sometimes. But no, 18 is the age where you meet someone in a safe place, talk, see if there's any chemistry, dance, whatever. You are at a slightly awkward period in your life because you are not a child and not quite an adult. You are not an adult because you still live at home, only recently graduated high school and are financially dependent on your parents. You are not a child because you are 18 and can vote, join the army, sign contracts, fully consent to sex, and take out student loans for hundreds of thousands of dollars. This rule would be fairly normal at 15 but very unreasonable at 21. Whether you want to follow your parents' rules is up to you. Some guys would be willing to quickly meet your parents before a first date, others would not. Thank you for your input. I think I will be letting them meet them like at the door, since seeing these comments made me realize they do it out of love and worry, but there is also a boundary of privacy I should be able to have. I think I'll be letting them briefly see them. You are definitely right about the awkward stage, since it gets difficult for me at times to understand what I should be doing with people telling me you're still too young to do certain things and you're an adult now, you must think for yourself. Seeing all these different thoughts make me feel like I should be finding a good in between. Go on coffee or brunch dates during the day until you're sure you want to see him seriously. Then have him meet your parents before the first dinner date. Easy. My wife, 30F, has an extremely low sex drive, but she satisfies me, 35M, anyway. Am I being a lousy husband? We have been married for 5 years, we have 2 children, a 5-year-old girl and 2-year-old boy. My wife has always had a much tamer sex drive than me. Since having our kids, her interest in sex dwindled. She's a stay-at-home mother, and I guess being so busy taking care of our children all day has also been a factor. I love my wife so much, I would sacrifice anything for her, and sex is not really that important at the end of the day. My wife and our kids make it all seem unimportant in comparison. However, I do still have a fairly high sex drive, and it unfortunately hasn't changed to match my wife's at all. My wife loves me and says I'm a good husband, so I assume this is why she will almost always say yes when I approach her in the bedroom. Usually she will give me a blowjob. She said that she prefers to do that because there's no chance of pregnancy, it's lower maintenance, she enjoys my reaction, and it is surprisingly romantic and intimate, at least for us. I obviously love when my wife does this for me, but I feel guilt because she is doing me a huge favor, yet she says she doesn't want me to do anything for her in return because she doesn't need it. My wife maintains that she no longer needs orgasms at all. She gives me a blowjob usually twice a week, and this is enough for me. She used to allow me to return the favor once per month, but now she just says she doesn't need it at all. She's healthy and only 30 years old, yet she has had only a few orgasms in the last 2 years. She claims she's perfectly content like this. Is it okay for me to just continue as is? And should I just try to stop feeling the guilt about the blowjobs? I really need and appreciate each one that she gives me, and she says she enjoys satisfying me and seeing the effect it has on me, but she doesn't need the favor reciprocated. She says that as long as we spend time cuddling, watching movies/TV together, having heart-to-heart conversations, and bonding in these ways, she is happy and feels loved. We do have an active romantic relationship that in some ways is just as intense as when we were dating and first married, however the sexual satisfaction is one-sided. Does it sound like I'm doing all I can? Since my wife seems quite happy and content, and she swears that she is and simply doesn't need sex anymore, should I continue as is and let go of the guilt? Too long didn't read. My wife and I have a strong marriage, but her sex drive has dwindled dramatically. She says she no longer needs sex or orgasms, and instead gives me blowjobs to satisfy my libido. She claims that so long as we bond in other ways, she is happy and content. Should I let go of the guilt over the one-sided favors? Honestly, this sounds fine. If you're both happy, there's no problem. Is she still breastfeeding? I've heard that can lower a woman's sex drive. Also, being around kids is hard because all they want to do is touch you all day. You aren't a lousy husband because you have talked to her and made sure she is happy with the arrangement. I have chronic fatigue syndrome and orgasm can be very painful for me sometimes, but I still enjoy the intimacy with my husband. I actually get a little sad when he doesn't ask me because he knows I'm in pain. I enjoy making him happy. Your wife may feel that meeting your needs is enough for her,